Hi there, and welcome to Jill's Quest for Riches. In today's episode, we are going to make our own fire plan. This episode is going to be way more practical. I've prepared an Excel sheet and I'll walk you through it. I'll share the Excel in the description down below. This is a follow-up of a previous video about the fire movement. So if you don't know what the fire movement is, be sure to check out this video. I'll put the link up here. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go. Alright, so this is my Excel template that I prepared for you guys. As you see, there are two main worksheets. One is the fire plan input, the one you see here, and one is the fire plan forecast, which is actually just a table with dates to see by what time or by what date you would reach fire. Now this Excel sheet you don't have to fill in. We only need to fill in this one, and in this whole Excel sheet we only need to fill in the orange fields. All the rest is calculated for us. And there's three outputs that we will be looking at once we filled everything in. That's the savings rate, nice to know. The fire number, very important to know. How much do we need to save and invest with our portfolio in order to sustain our financial independence and retire early? And the date when we would reach this number. So I think the easiest way to get a hang or understand this Excel sheet is if I walk you through it using a specific scenario. The scenario that I'm choosing here is my situation, I think 2 or 3 years ago. With one exception, namely the garage rental, which I'm leaving in there just to show you the calculations. So let's say 2 years ago I was making more or less 2,000 euro net per month. I didn't have any side hustles, so these are all zero, but if you have something that you do on the side, this is where you can fill it in. Passive income, I did have a portfolio, so I don't have to fill this field in. It's calculated from my investment portfolio here, where I have to fill everything in. So I did already earn some money from my investments, and the garage rental I didn't have yet, but I'm just leaving this in here in the template so you can have a look at the specific calculations that I made and just have an example. If you've seen one of my previous videos about this particular garage box, you might remember that the margin I had per month was drastically lower than the 73. The difference in margin is due to the fact that I used a different way of calculating here, just to make it more simple. I spread the heaviest cost of my mortgage over my complete mortgage, which included my apartment and my garage, whilst in the previous video I calculated the most expensive part, the incremental extra money that I borrowed. I allocated it only to the garage, which made it more expensive, which is actually the more correct way of calculating it. So if you have any other rental properties or any other passive income streams, this is where you can fill them in, and then you have a monthly total. All the orange fields are per month here, those three columns. And then I calculate the yearly totals just for the overview actually. So then we go to the expenses. 2 or 3 years ago, I was actually living in a co-housing, and I was sharing my room with my girlfriend. So that means that our room was 660 euros, divide that by 2 because we were 2 to pay for it. That's 330 euros of rent. So that was a really, really good deal. And I can also advise it to anybody when you start working. Co-housing is definitely a way to actually have access to a big house or a nicer place of living and just sharing the costs with other people. But of course, after a while, you just want to have your own place. So that's also what happened for us. This year, we bought our apartment and we're covering way higher costs per month. The utilities, on the other hand, were per person and were relatively high in this co-housing simply because it was a big, relatively old building, beautiful building, Art Deco. Then the other housing costs, there wasn't anything for us. This is more the type of cost that you have when you are the owner of the house. So this could be what I put here, the insurances, maintenance, repairs, cleaning, taxes, all of that should be included here and then calculated per month. To come back to the utilities, and that involves water, heating, gas, electricity, I also put in internet here just to put it somewhere, but if you have a better way of splitting it out, just make sure you don't forget any cost. Then we go to groceries. I'm spending more or less 250 euros per month. Then we get to dining. So in dining, I'm including both dining out, ordering in, and lunch at work. And here I'm at 150. Although I don't go out eating that often, I calculated 50 euros for eating out or ordering in. And then the 100 euro is actually my lunches at work. 20 working days in a month, 5 euro per lunch, that's 100 euros. So that counts quite fast. That's maybe something I could make some extra savings on. Travel back then, I didn't have any travel costs because everything was covered by my employer. Clothing, I was and still am going clothing shopping max 2 times a year, always during the season where they give big reductions. And in general, I don't spend more than 150 euros. So that comes out to 25 euros per month. Other subscriptions, I don't have any other subscriptions, but this is where you could put your phone subscription, magazines, news, Spotify, that kind of stuff. And then other expenses like vacations, gifts, there I just put 100 euro, which is a general estimation. I actually have no idea how much money is going to those causes, but that's more or less where I guess it is. So that gives us a total expenses of 965 euros per month, whilst my income was 2,000 per month. So I was saving here more than 1,000 euro. So I reached a savings rate of 50%, which is quite good. I think a savings rate of 50% should be reachable for most people with an average income. Although depending on where you live, you might have to opt for co-housing or other stuff. And the 50% is quite healthy. It helps you accumulate your savings and increase your investing portfolio relatively fast. Although it can always go faster. Okay, so now we get to the savings part, and you might say here, okay, Gilles, all right, you only started working recently, but you already have 10,000 in savings, 2,400 on your checkings account, and 23,000 in an investment portfolio. Maybe that seems like a lot, or maybe it doesn't. I actually don't know. But how did I get to that point? Well, actually, whilst I was studying, most of the extra work that I did, I saved up. I didn't spend that much during my study years. And then quite important as well, the first year of my career, I was only making 1,500 euros net per month. So I decided that I stayed for a full year with my parents. So it's not that cool. On the other hand, it helped me like save a lot of money and build up my initial investment portfolio. I easily saved 15k or more that year. So that was quite good for a low income first year career. But to get back to the savings here, so what you fill in is what you have on your savings account. This is more or less your safety net, right? If anything happens, this is the money on which you can fall back. You don't want to be forced to sell any of your investments, right? The checkings account, this is what is on your checkings account. And the investment portfolio here, my investment portfolio actually goes over multiple platforms. I guess for most people it's only one, but that is why there's multiple platforms in here. Although 2 years ago I was only using one platform, Lynx, and then I also have a pension savings plan, which is also counted in here. So now to calculate our FIRE number, of course the expected average yearly return on my portfolio, that's an important number. I'm using the 4% here because of the 4% rule that is very often used in calculating your FIRE number. In a previous video I already said what are the pros and cons about this number. I'm using this one for now in this calculation. What that means on a monthly basis, you don't have to fill in, it's an automatic calculation, and then it gives me how much money I should save up in the investment portfolio. So this is excluding my savings account, my safety net. This is only the investment portfolio, how much I should attain, and more importantly, at this pace, by when will I arrive at that point? Here we're saying May 2034, so that is 14 years from now, which is actually quite nice for somebody who just started out working in the beginning of their career. And just to show you what the second Excel sheet is for, well, this is where this calculation is based on. So if you ever want to go and see it in person, how your portfolio, investment portfolio is building up over the years, how your income from it is building up all the way to the moment where it reaches the point that it's equal to your expenses. Voila, that's here. So that's it for today. I just want to point out that this is only a plan. It does help you a lot with knowing where you stand today. If nothing changes, how long will it take you before you reach financial independence? It also helps you to see or calculate the impact of certain of your decisions. Will it make you be able to be financially independent sooner or later, and how much? It also helps you to be more aware of what the impact is of certain events that you might not really have anything to say about, but it could help you in maneuvering around it. In all, it just helps you to make better decisions, to be more informed when you make those decisions, and that definitely helps in the long run. As I said before, I will share the template in the description down below, and usually I would ask you to like and subscribe, but this time I'm just going to ask you to fill in the template and let me know by what date you expect to be financially independent. See you in the next video. Bye!